let's get into our 450 review. Again, a wild season when you think of how it started and where it is now.
The inaugural season of the SuperMotocross World Championship. Welcome back, Ken Roczen!
Jett Lawrence goes 1-1 in his 450 debut.
No!
Chase Sexton taking the 450 title. Lawrence versus Sexton.
Tomac wins A1.
He is injured.
Jett Lawrence wins the overall.
So much to talk about there. So much of Supercross, JT, was talking about Eli Tomac and making history, moving into second all-time, and also doing this at for motocross purposes, a very advanced age with a bunch of kids at home. We don't want to forget, even though he doesn't have the title, we don't want to forget how important Eli Tomac was to the 2023 story.
Well, I think about Anaheim 1, he's winning, he crashes, then he comes back after the crash, and it doesn't feel like that was this year. I was thinking, like, what season was it? Oh, it was this season. It was 2023. But there's been so much racing and so many twists and turns throughout this 2023 campaign. But yes, to your point, Eli Tomac was absolutely phenomenal. I think many people even said this was the best Eli Tomac we've seen, like the most dominant at times we've seen at his age. We weren't even sure if he was going to race in 2024. I think it speaks volumes to the longevity and the dedication to his craft to still be this relevant and this impressive.
So Tomac making history is great, and it wasn't quite on the same level because he wasn't en route to a Supercross championship, but I do feel like Ken Roczen's renaissance this year with his old brand on board Suzuki, that might have been the feel-good story of the year when he got that victory at Indianapolis.
Yeah, if you weren't smiling and cheering when Ken Roczen stood on the podium and held up that Kickstarter, you may want to check and see if you have a pulse. It was an incredible night. Maybe the only person that wasn't excited for him was Justin Barcia, who came so close to winning that main event as well. But to have Kenny back, I would argue he's been the most marketable rider in the sport for a very long time. And he's had a little bit of a rough go lately, but that was a bounce back race there that night and a bounce back Super Motocross World Championship playoff too. And I think he let everybody know that he's not ready to ride off into the sunset yet. Ken Roczen is still for real.
Yeah, and you reminded me, Barcia didn't get the win that night. He was so close, but he got his as well. The mud race in New Jersey, that was an epic night just because of the weather. And again, veterans succeeding. Kind of funny how this season turned out where we had both rookies and established veterans all having some really memorable runs. The AP's heartbreak topic that you see here, this is actually twofold. Everyone remembers the night that Aaron Plessinger was just rolling away from everyone and it looked like a victory was on lock until he crashed at the end. And I got another story to back that up after, but this is the problem. When Aaron Plessinger crashed, you got the interview with him and he was planning on, well, I'm going to go to Seattle next week and get this done. The season's over. He still doesn't have one of these 450 wins.
Yeah, it's certainly a moment I'll never forget. I can remember him riding towards me after, he looked like he was on his way to his first win. Tragedy strikes, and I'm hoping that he'll just spend a moment with me and share his emotion with America and the rest of the world. And then he, of course, gives us one of the most powerful interviews of the year, maybe of the sport's history.
That one hurts. That one hurts a lot. Man, I was riding so good, and I don't know. I didn't stand up in that rut the whole moto and sat down and put my foot out. And the one time I think it's all right to stand up, it catches my foot and rips me right off the bike. And oh man, I couldn't believe it flying through the air like that. And I just tried to tuck and I don't know, man. It was a hard hit. I tried to get back up and. Man, the bike was smoking, and I probably could have finished, but, man, that hurts. But, get back up on the saddle and get back up there at Seattle. I love Seattle, so, man, don't count me out. I'm not done yet. Man, I was riding so good. I'm so proud of my riding, and I love these fans, man. I could hear them the whole way, and man, Chase is riding a great race, but, it happens. And I'd like to say a lot of other words, but I can't say them on TV. So we'll be back with a vengeance. Starts are good, I'm good, fitness is good. I just got to stay on the bike next time.
It was just a peek inside to the highs and lows. He certainly thought he was on his way to win, and then that was robbed of him. And for him to not hold back, to truly show what was going on in his mind and his heart, it's just something I'll never forget. I felt very proud and privileged to be a part of it. And yeah, I think there's so much, everybody just thinks it's glitz and glamour and this crazy lifestyle that these Supercross racers have, but they truly live and die with the successes and the failures of a season, and never more so than Aaron Plessinger there in Detroit.
Yeah, and because that one was so high profile, and then Tomac going out with the ruptured Achilles while leading Supercross, I think it overshadowed the one other story I want to get in here. Cooper Webb was second in points ahead of Chase Sexton. Also, it was a rough afternoon in Nashville for a lot of the top Monster Energy Supercross racers. I think it's completely forgotten about. Cooper Webb could have easily been the Supercross champion this year as well. It was heartbreak for him.
Yeah, for Webb, that crash in Nashville was scary for one. We were all concerned with his health. And then once you realize maybe he's going to be okay, you start thinking about the championship that just went away, right? And it was a three-man fight going into that Nashville round. There was so much hype. And then all of a sudden, one of those riders was removed because we knew he wasn't going to be able to race Nashville. And then, yeah, Cooper Webb, the rest of Cooper Webb's 2023 was pretty wild, right? He's not going to race the Pro Motocross Championship. Then he is going to race the Pro Motocross Championship. He makes it a few rounds in, then departs. Then we hear he's cut ties with Red Bull KTM. He's going to switch teams. So, yeah, Cooper Webb's season in itself could be a multi-chapter book. And now I just think about what 2024 is going to look like. I don't think this Super Motocross World Championship went really to plan for him, but I think he learned a lot and is going to gain a lot of motivation from some of the poorer results he had, especially at rounds 1 and 2.
So with Tomac and Webb going out in Supercross, the break that Honda was not able to get for just about 20 years, suddenly it all falls into place for Chase Sexton to win that Monster Energy Supercross title. Honda's first in that class since 2003. They had not won a 450 title at all since 2004 when Ricky Carmichael won the Pro Motocross Championship. It's unbelievable. The team that couldn't buy a break had both Webb and Tomac go out. It finally fell in Honda's direction.
It did, but the most interesting part of that to me is contrast the feeling that we had about Chase Sexton and his relationship with Honda HRC leaving Salt Lake City in May to how it looked and felt leaving Ironman, and then of course at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum a month later. Completely different scenarios, right? We look back and what a remarkable season Chase Sexton had in Monster Energy Supercross. He wins his first 450 championship. And then now all of that feels like a distant memory. Chase Sexton's departing to another team. The relationship really seemed to break down between he and his team. And I know he was unhappy with some of the bike settings. It is completely opposite ends of the spectrum from where we were. It just felt like that everything was in front of it, Chase Sexton. And now it looks like he's just kind of on the back end trying to sort things out as we go into 2024.
Well, there was always this specter of, it appeared that Sexton was the present, but what about the future when Jett Lawrence moves to a 450, working out of the same truck? They definitely kept it cordial from a personal and personality standpoint, but so much of everything got overshadowed by Jett Lawrence going perfect in his rookie 450 season, 22-0, and with Sexton finishing second in the majority of those races. I never thought that we would get to the point, JT, where we would have another rider in that McGrath, Stewart, Carmichael type conversation. But 22-0 as a rookie, it's impossible to not think of Jett Lawrence maybe being in those types of conversations going forward.
I think it's warranted. I really do. His Pro Motocross Championship, he's won 5 championships in a row. Then you add in the Super Motocross World Championship on top of that. And I think for everybody, the last kind of caveat you could add was, well, we haven't really seen him race on a 450 in Supercross yet. So let's see what that looks like. And then he did what he did at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in a typical Supercross environment. Sure, there weren't whoops there, but go back and watch Jett Lawrence on a 250 in the whoops, and I think that will set your mind at ease. I think he's just answering every single question. Can he win from the front? Can he get a bad start and still win? Can he handle championship pressure when the lights are at their brightest? Can he still rise to the occasion? He's doing it all. There just doesn't seem to be any holes in his game, and it's still really, really early. We know that. He still hasn't lined up on a 450 at Anaheim 1 yet, but everybody, to a man, even Chase Sexton, who will be a reigning champion going in, have to be so incredibly nervous about the run that it seems like Jett Lawrence is just embarking upon.
Really such a big story of 2023 should be the team switches, the silly season and off-season maneuvers, but they haven't been announced yet. But let's just put it this way. We know that Sexton will not return to Honda for 2024. That'll be a big story going forward. In the present time, the story is Honda, again, couldn't get a break, couldn't get any 450 title at all for 20 years. And then this year they win every traditional title that's available. No team has won these particular championships all in the same year. We'll talk about Sexton and his future later, but right now it was all about Honda. Hunter crashed out of SMX. That's the only one they didn't get, but to win all the Supercross and Pro Motocross titles in the same year. Never done before like this. Unreal.
Yeah, I got to speak with Lars Lindstrom just for a second. After everything had quieted down, he was headed to the press conference, and I was like, congratulations, what a year. After so long, so much famine, now it was feast here in 2023. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, but man, that 250, this 250 championship we lost out. I'm like, no, just stop. Because if anybody had told you a year ago, 5 years ago, that things were going to go this way in 2023, you would have done anything to have this much success. So forget about tonight. Hunter's going to be okay. In the big picture, he's going to be fine. He won two championships already this year. Just enjoy this. Stop thinking about the what if and just enjoy the success that's all around you right now.
It was a really great season for Honda, yet you can't let that little Hunter hiccup there in the last race of the year take away from that. But it did open the door for Hayden Deegan to be your SMX champion as a rookie. You want to think back to last October. Think about this. We didn't even know if Hayden Deegan would be racing in these races. Unbelievable that he ended up champion, and same thing for Jett Lawrence. We thought he'd be certainly fun to watch and a potential 450 contender, but we ended up with two rookie champs, JT.
If you're writing scripts for this of how to set up the sport for success on the long term, having these two stars that are so charismatic, they are beautiful to watch on a motorcycle, they know how to handle themselves in the media, and they're attracting fans globally, right? Whether it's through social media, whether it's Jett Lawrence's being Australian, but he's also raced in Europe, so he has this huge global audience that not many riders have. It's perfect. They're so young, they're so talented, and they're going to be around for a very, very long time, and they're already champions. I just don't know how you could have a better setup moving forward.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.